Hello, good evening. This is Elizabeth McGill. This is for HC222. I get all three twos in there? I'm not sure. Good evening, Dr. Perkins. I'm going to be talking about the body systems. The first system we have here is the skeletal system. It's rough, it's crude, but the way I see the skeletal system is the structure. Now, the little man/woman I have here is in the quote-unquote anatomical position, or as best as I could put her in. The bones is what we give, is our structure. We can think of this as the building blocks, or a base of a chord, if you're into music. If you look at a chord base, that would be the structure for the melody. So, this is the way I view little skeleton, so the structure. The next part is the nervous system. Without the nervous system, of course, the central part is the brain. I'm going to put my little brain in my guy. You always hear somebody saying, use your gray matter, so I use gray clay because, well, I gotta squish them in there. I know that really doesn't look good, but we'll have to get over it. You have a right side and a left side of your brain. Now, whatever you may think, your right side of your brain does not control your right side, and your left side does not control your left side. Your brain is actually dyslexic. Ha ha ha, bad joke. But anyway, it is. Because your right side controls your left, and your left side controls your right. It interacts with each other. It's kind of like when you're walking. When you walk, your right hip, if it's the first one to go forward, is actually not being activated. It's actually your quadriceps. Your left hip actually stabilizes so you can move your right hip forward. Weird, right? Okay. So I'm going to put my spinal column in here. I'm not sure if you guys can see this. I'm going to just try to stuff this in here the best I can. Lost my brain. Wouldn't be the first time. Probably won't be the last, to be honest with you. Okay, Mr. Man and woman here does not want to stay. Whoops, and now we have that's what happens when you lose your brain. Tend to fall over. I know this worked when I practiced with it. So let me just see here. I might have to take him down for a second. Here we go. Now he's behaving. I do refer to things as he's sometimes just because I don't know. I'm weird. Okay, so your spinal column comes down pretty far. And that's pretty much your central nervous system. You know, our guy is just kind of a little bit on the lopsided, but we can fix him. Give me a second there. Oh. I can smush that brain. There we go. And ta-da! Okay. Now, you really don't have a waggly tail like that, but we all know that. But I'm doing the best I can. So anywho, your neurons can be thinner than this filament I have right here. That's right, people. You cannot see your nerves unless they are huge. We only have a couple of huge nerves in our bodies. I'm just going to show you the ones. The sciatic nerve. I'm sure you all have heard of it. My sciatica. Right? Most men have this. You know why? Because they keep wallets in the back of their pockets. It runs from your tailbone all the way down into the back of your leg. Oh yeah. Now, if you've ever been pregnant and you've had the back of your leg hurt, you can blame the baby for that. I generally blame my children for everything. It's the best thing. I'm using yellow just to indicate the nerves. Your nerves are not usually yellow. There's only like I said before, a few nerves. Now, the thing that protects our spinal column is the vertebrae. Vertebrae are part of the skeletal system. and that keeps everything there. Unfortunately, my guy does not have a very good vertebrae, so I'm going to have to make it a little bit better. Excuse me. So much better. Okay. He's moved out of my... There we go. Move you over. Okay. So as we can see, this is a gross rendition of some nerves. I'm going to make a couple more just to show you how they kind of flowish. Yes, I use the word flowish. I also like to think of the nervous system as the central highway, or the system, if you've ever looked at the roadways and the pathways, or just like the you go onto Google Maps and you see the world lit up, kind of like that. That's how we get our information. If you're into computers, you can think of it that way. Your brain is the motherboard. Your nerves are the neurons that carry the information. Yada, 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 yada. Alright. So, those are the nerves. Now, I'm going to move on to actually the respiratory / cardiovascular. And the only reason I'm putting these two together is because you can't have one without the other. Well, this is necessarily true for the whole system, but cardiac and respiratory work specifically together. Our medulla oblongata, which is back here, is it's what we call in the occiput, which is part of this brain of your skull. It gets kind of technical and boring, but here we go. These are my lungs. I made them gray because I like to think of the lungs, if you've ever been scuba diving or snorkeling or anything like that, that's why I kind of like to think of the lungs and the respiratory system, that it is one big fat scuba system. Now, if you've never been scuba diving before, I would recommend going and looking online and checking out some of the scuba gear. The lungs would be your tanks. This is your regulator, and otherwise known as your bronchioles, bronchi, which leads up into the mouth, where you inhale, exhale. When you want to go to take a nice deep breath, bringing it into the diaphragm, which is this nice little curvature, which brings in the fresh oxygen, and then we expel carbon monoxide or CO2. Now, we can't excrete CO2 without having the cardiovascular system. Now, my heart is kind of pretty horrible, but the one I made. I'd like to show you the real thing. I don't know if you see this. There you go. That is the inside of the heart. Want to note one thing. You do not have blue veins. Nobody in the world has a blue vein. Well, at least in this one. The only reason why they draw a blue vein for the cardiovascular system in your anatomy physiology books is to denote the lesser of the oxygenated blood. And just because your veins on your arms look blue does not mean you have blue blood. Just letting you know. Now, let's see if I can get the heart in this little guy. And by the way, your lungs are generally not this far apart, but your heart is technically right about here. Alright, there you go. That's my heart. Alright. And then you have your rib cage that covers that. Your skeletal system is also your protection. Yes, your body actually wants to protect you from getting hurt and doing stupid things. Not that you won't. Anywho, so the circulatory system goes throughout the body. Now, your aortic, which is right about there, pumps the oxygenated blood, which you already got from your lungs. Yay! Okay, so it takes it up and through, and it takes it all the way, and you can see by my little red thing, it takes it all the way through your body. Now I'm going to put a little through the head, because yes, it does go, you actually get blood in your head, which is why You know, and the circulatory system also carries the energy that we use from digestion, but I will get to that in a second. I'm not going to get that on the head of my... Right. I'm going to do as best I can. My guy I might have to lift him up and carry him away. Just for a second, there goes my nerve. Alright. Like I said, this is not pretty. I'm only doing the best I can. Here we go. That looks better. There we go. So, if you want to think of your heart as like a little car engine, I don't know if you've ever seen a car engine, but in a car we have you have in the engine you have your pistons and your couplers and whatever else you have in an engine. I have no idea. I'm not into car engines, but I like to think of it as a little engine. And those little pistons in an engine, or even like a watch, if you see your watch, pumps along the blood. Alright? This is controlled by your nervous system. That's right. You actually have a pacemaker in your heart. Now, I'm sure you've heard my granny has to have a pacemaker, yada yada. My father had a pacemaker or a defibrillator. That's just because the nerves in the heart are not working properly. You just get to be, and now they have to be fixed by mechanical means versus their own. My mom actually has an arrhythmia. Isn't that exciting? Of course, like I said, this is pretty crude. Your body does not... Here we go. Okay, so your blood circulates all through your body. Yep. And no, you cannot literally be an airhead, although I tell people this. But, like I said before, you have no blue blood in your body. Here we go. I think I'm getting there. One more spin in. There we go. There's my guy. There. Looks awful. There we go. There we go. Ta-da! Ta-da! Nope, you're gonna fall over, aren't you? I just gotta fix the clay a little bit. There we go. Okay, the clay's only being used not as part of this demonstration, but just to kind of hold up the guy. Alright, so, just because we're talking about the nervous system, I also wanted to talk about the digestive system, since we're talking about bringing energy to the blood. The only reason I'm using a knife is because I got to bring my digestion system off my table. It got stuck. Isn't that gross? Okay, so this is your esophagus, stomach, intestines, small intestines. I kind of just combine them together because there's way too much of it. And that kind of goes like, here, yeah, okay, like that. I'm making, yes, a lot of things are on your left side, by the way. What's on this side, if you're wondering, that's your liver, your gallbladder, things like that. And the only reason I didn't put them there is because I'm lazy. Now, your digestive system. Now, kind of honestly, this is just the way you get energy into your body. I don't think of it as any other way. It's just, you get food into your mouth, and your body makes a process of it, and becomes chemical, then shoots it through, and then brings it into your bloodstream. Bloodstream carries it throughout the body. Yada, 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 yada. Now, you're wondering what the hell is mastication? Well, mastication is just a fancy word for chewing. That's right, chewing. Okay. Now, you're wondering what... Oh, okay. So, mastication. I don't know if you guys can see this. This is my avocado. I'm just going to... This is my fork. When we masticate, we start to break things up, like I'm breaking up my avocado. Do not worry, this will be used for guacamole later. So, that's mastication right there. I'm just mushing it around. And that's what we do when we chew. We mush things around. Alright. Now, when it gets to our stomach, this is where, I don't know if any of you have done this, if you have a bowl of, you're making soup and you take your hand homogenizer and you put it in your soup and you it right down into whatever consistency, or trying to hide vegetables from your children, which I do often, just because my son will not eat cooked carrots. Don't know why, he just doesn't. Now, to make you all happy, I will try to see if I can get liver and a gallbladder in there, but I doubt it. The rest of this is the intestines. Now, the intestines absorb water and any other nutrient and all the nutrients that our body needs, until what is left is the waste. Now, water waste is processed until, the uric acids and chemicals are avoided through pee. That's why you should drink, because a lot of your waste is water and can be carried by water. So it's more beneficial if you drink lots of water. It also fills you up. This is my kidney, by the way. No, liver, sorry. So anywho, the other goes out the other way. Solids. Okay. So that's that easy. Now, as I'm going, so that carries all the energy. Now, going back to the circulatory system not only carries the red blood cells, but also carries the white blood cells. Now, the white blood cells, I kind of like to think of them as the little ninjas / samurai / the special forces. They are there to protect us and give us our immunity, so that way we, quote unquote, don't get sick. Do you get sick? Of course, because we're not perfect, but there it is. They do fight off a lot of diseases, sicknesses, other things. Our inoculations help them to help fight. They look like little blobs, to be quite honest. But I like to think of them as little ninja special forces people. And that's, and the endocrine system, which is what I'm getting into, that is kind of just what helps your body to kind of be you. The pituitary, the glandulas make sure that everything is being processed right, sending out the right chemicals. It keeps everything kind of in order. And when that is off order, we need to sometimes take medication to correct it. Sometimes remove it, but in general, the endocrine system is kind of like what just makes up you, makes sure that your body is working the way it needs to. Moving on to now into the muscular system. Haha. And why am I doing it this way? Because I feel like it. All right. So muscles are you need, of course, cardiovascular, nerves, digestion, because digestion will provide the energy to the muscles. Now, the muscles are, to me, is what helps you move. I'm a physical therapy assistant, so I'm always the muscle movement is more interesting to me than anything else. It's quite interesting to know that your muscles, we think of them as these well, kind of something like this, where, there's these long strandy things, and it'll make the bicep here, and just make the bicep over here a little bit. Right, and you got and the delts and everything else. You've seen those muscle guys. So, but quite honestly, ear muscles are very interesting, intricate little things. If you look at a 550 power cord, I'm not sure if anybody knows what this is, but a 550 power cord is, there you go, it says 550, holds up to 550 pounds of weight. It's a little survival tool. My husband and I both carry it around, including lighters and knives in our cars and in our pocketbooks. No, we don't ever plan on fighting anybody, but I have had that side of the road mishap more than once. So, in this 550 power cord, I'm not sure if you guys can see this. See if I can. There we go. So, this reminds me of the muscles because here you go. This is our bundle of muscle right here. Inside is our little fibers. If I look again, there you go. There's all your little fibers. It also reminds me of the nervous system a little bit too, because this is your myelin sheath, that's your neurons. Okay, so that's what those things remind me of. I'm gonna just focus on that again. And these compile into what we know as muscles. Now, the interesting thing with muscles is they cannot work without tendons, because the tendons attach the muscles to the bone, and the bones are attached by ligaments. So, you guys have, if you can remember that, tendon and muscle, muscles and tendons, ligament to bone. That's the way I always remember ligament, bone, tendon, muscle, because if you've ever, I think of the muscles as being the activators for the skeletal, because if we didn't have muscles, our skeleton would just be, we'd be quite rigid, actually. And if we didn't have the ligaments or tendons, we'd fall apart. And if we didn't have muscles, skeletal, well, we would just be big piles of meat on the floor, to be honest with you. We kind of look something like, the Blob. Or something even scarier than that, because I think the Blob was a little bit not too bad. He didn't have eyes, so he wasn't so bad. I never got that movie, so I don't think I ever will. I could never figure out why people were so scared of an amoebic creature. Okay, so those are my muscles. Anywho, and the muscles need energy, neurons, cardiovascular. They need to work as a system. Everything working together. Now, if you forget to eat, or if you've ever worked out way too much and your muscles are sore the next day, that's called delayed muscle soreness. Try not to do it too often. It's not good for you. You produce lactic acid. And if you've ever heard of that, young guy who decided to lift a lot of weight, or a young lady who decided to lift a lot of weight all at once, and the next day they died of a heart attack, that's the reason. Too much lactic acid. Don't do it. See. Okay, we've gone through muscle. So, the next one we're going to go through is the immune system, which I already told you. I thought the immune system as being little ninjas. Part of the immune system, whether or not most people realize it, is your skin. Now, people are like, what? Yes, your skin. Yeah, my guy looks pretty funny. Your skin protects you from a lot of different things. Now, if we didn't have our skin, we'd be getting infected all over the place. Can you imagine your muscles just hanging out there? But our skin protects us from a good amount of pathogens or infections and scrapes, bruises, cuts, wounds. We all get that. And it has the most regenerative probabilities. Skin is the most regenerable thing. Everything else, not so much. If you get a cut, you get a scar, it doesn't look pretty, but you know what? It regenerates. You can't regenerate a liver. Sorry, bad news. But at least we can regenerate the skin to a certain degree. But we can do it. but it also helps us with our immune, It's just that first protection, as I say. Excuse me. Let's see, we've gone over the immune, we've gone over that. So I think we're kind of getting near the end of this. So the last system I kind of want to go over is the reproductive system. No laughing, it's not allowed. This is my he/she character. The reproductive system is quite important, actually. No matter what you consider yourself, the reproduction system is what makes you you. It's that X or Y chromosome that your parent has given you. When you are a male, of course, you have a penis, testicles, scrotum, semen, and testosterone. The testosterone is actually what makes you a male, part of the endocrine system. You got it, people. But that's what happens is the more testosterone you become, you're a male. Sure, you get to be standing up, but hey, you know what? God knows better. He made women sit down for peeing because we have children, and it's the only time we get to sit. So there you go. A little diatribe on that one. Women, we have ovaries, uterus, vaginas, breasts, yay. More fat on us, yahoo. But the good, and we get to carry a baby around for 9 months, so yay us. But the estrogen is what makes us females. It carries that information to say, hey, you're a female. And when we become pregnant, the chemicals change again to say, hey, I need to produce milk for the baby, or I'm carrying, so we need to do this. And when we get our period, it carries another hormone to say, hey, there's nothing there, clean out, done. So we actually have a really interesting system, the females. And eventually, I'm not going to get into sex ed on that one, but just to let you know, when you're a male, you have a nice amount of testosterone. When you're a female, you have estrogen. And when you go through menopause, that's a whole entire another chemical changes. So women technically go through several different little chemical changes through their lives. Men, not so much. Although I wouldn't, if you've ever asked a man if they would ever carry a child, they'd probably tell you, no, hell no. So that's my story on that. And the reproductive system, there's not much thought behind that of how that works, or easier information, Go watch National Geographic for an hour. That's my statement on that. I think that's it for the systems. If I'm missing one, you can yell at me later. If you're wondering, if you have an anatomy and physiology book, I always suggest using it. That's how you really get to know. If you don't have an anatomy and physiology book, there's great websites on the human anatomy and how the body works these days. And if you guys are old enough or / young enough to remember Body Works, I think the guy was the name of it, or something like that. It was a guy who used to run around in this kind of leotard outfit, and he had the cardiovascular system on him and the nervous system. I forget what his name was now. It used to be on PBS. You can tell how old I am. And this is the book I actually used. It's one of my old not actually anatomy books. This is one of my physical therapy books, actually. It's a great little thing. It has some rough pictures in here. I like it. I still have my anatomy and physiology back from, I'm not going to tell you the date. I'm actually older than I sound. I'm actually 1 year older than you, Dr. Perkins, but that's okay. I do have a nice anatomy and physiology book that I still have from my days. So anywho, thank you so much for listening to me. If I figure out that there's a system I'm missing, I may come back and do this again. But have a good evening. If there's any other questions, you guys have a good night. Bye.